Broadcasting from the basement of La Penta, it's WICR.
All right, welcome back. We are here. I took over, Rob, I took over the hosting duty. And now we're going to talk about the Giants and the whole Odell Beckham issue. Was he crying on the sideline, Martino? You seem to think he was.
He's 100% crying, tearing up. Not full tears coming down his face, but he 100% was crying, for sure.
Yeah,
and
that was a little pathetic.
That was completely pathetic for a guy who is that talented and is getting in that many fights with an opposing player on the other team all the time, constantly with that history. I mean, I don't understand what he was crying about. And then when he went to go fight the practice goalpost, whatever you want to call it, the netting for that kickers use on the sideline to go and practice field goals, he went to go punch that, and then he knocked it over, and then it hit him back in the face. Instant karma for being mean to that damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to mess with a goal, whatever it's called, the kicker's net. Historically, they are not nice to human beings. But I think that he was just frustrated because he knew it was a big stage, and he knew Norman. I mean, I really don't think Norman played that well. But I think it was just like...
Odell had over 100 yards. It's just that he didn't catch that touchdown pass. He still hasn't caught one yet. But I think what it was, he did get the best of him on that one play when he juked him out.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
And he went down the line. I think I forget how far he got. Yeah, he got in.
He got
they were
to
in
like
the red
the
zone.
5 or the 4.
They were in the red zone. Yeah. It's really funny though because both times when he threw a punch last year, I think did he punch Norman last year? But I know he swung at somebody on the Panthers last year.
He didn't punch him. I think they were throwing jabs at each other's face masks, but he went and like basically speared him with his helmet on like a play where Norman wasn't even involved. I think Norman was standing outside of like
he's got to keep
like,
his
scrum.
cool.
Yeah.
To put it simple, even Ben McAdoo was talking about how he can't be a distraction to him and his teammates, as talented as he is, and he's one of the most talented receivers in the past 20 years. He really is giving himself a bad rep now because it's not even just against them, it's against multiple teams where he seems to be throwing a fit if things aren't going his way. And he's having a really good game. This is a career game for some wide receivers when they go 7 for 121, even if there's no touchdown or not. I get it. I get the frustration with Eli throwing that interception in the red zone before, but you got to understand Eli's been there before. I know it's a tough divisional game against a team like the Redskins, and they have to win because their next two games are at Minnesota and at Green Bay.
Yeah,
so
those
they're
are
two
tough
really
games.
difficult games, and I kind of understand where he's coming from. But at the same time, how many receivers do you actually see getting that upset? Like, go to the Jets game when Fitzpatrick throws 6 interceptions, has a way worse game than Eli ever has had, or even compared to Eli's game on Sunday. But yet you don't see a guy like Brandon Marshall who has a history of throwing hissy fits and all that, not even getting that upset like Odell did.
I think Marshall definitely matured. I think the last time you see this type of attitude is like T.O., and obviously T.O. was a baby. He was just a child. McAdoo said that he needs to control his emotions better and become less of a distraction, and the coaching staff needs to take control of him and help him mature, which I think is a little out of control, where I don't think that
Eli was consoling him on the sideline, trying to get him to calm down after he was so upset about it.
That's a joke. I don't know, how old is he? 23, 22 years old?
Odell Beckham is in his early, probably mid-20s now. 23. He's extremely young.
20, yeah, but still, he's 23 years old. He shouldn't be throwing a fit on the sideline. Like, and it's not even like they were getting blown out or anything like that. And
well, that's the thing though. It's because they were down. It was so close, and he wanted to get the best of Josh Norman. Not only get the better of him, but he actually wanted to win the game.
Yeah,
I think he took it as he did all of that, but just to lose. How much trash can you actually talk if you lost the game? I don't care if you go for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. You still lose the game. You're the loser. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
None of
that's
those stats actually matter.
But when he threw that hissy fit, they were winning at the time, and he just wasn't getting the ball, or he wasn't making plays. If you remember, after he threw that hissy fit,
Eli, I think threw that interception. He was trying to get it to either Larry Donnell or Will Tye after Odell was torching Josh Norman down the whole drive.
Yeah.
And even the two other options, you had Victor Cruz and Sterling Shepard to go with, and then Eli went down over there, and that was just a bad pick,
that was
when Eli has one of his brain farts, that was one of them. But at the same time, it's all about keeping his head on straight, and if he could do that, there's no stopping him in the first place. But especially with the new NFL rule that if you get 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, you're kicked out of the game.
Yeah. I think definitely he keeps his head on straight. He's probably one of the best, or if not the best receiver in the game. Because after you saw him, after he got upset, he came out on the field. That's when he made that play where he juked Norman. I think he had like 3 catches on that drive, and they're all great catches, and they all had yards after the catch and everything like that. He's just like an electric player if he can keep his head on straight. And you don't really see him lose his cool too much. You saw him lose his cool against Carolina last year, and obviously this game. But I would like to see what will happen when they play in Washington. I don't know when they play, but I would like to see what will happen then.
I could bring that up for you, but there's a lot of difficult games. They don't play them till the last game of the season, actually, on New Year's Day.
Ooh, that could have a lot of playoff implication.
It will. They got to grab one of these next 2 games against the Vikings and Packers.
Well, are they home? They're away for both
They're away
games?
for both.
Ooh, that's going to be a rough
It's really
game.
difficult. And then they come back home. They play the Ravens at home. So the Ravens are always usually historically a tough game. And then they have to play the Bengals at home, too. Another tough game. They have to go at Pittsburgh this year. It's not a cakewalk of a schedule.
No.
Anytime you play a divisional game, it's going to be difficult. They play the Rams at home. They get the Bears at home. Those are fairly easy games. They play Cleveland, Detroit at home. As good as the Eagles have played so far, I think they'll come back down to earth. They have their bye week this week.
If I'm the Eagles, I don't want a bye week. I want to keep playing. Because Wentz is hot. I want to keep going.
If he's good, he's good. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
If he's going to be this good, he's going to be this good. But dropping a game at home to a team like the Redskins that's not that particularly good this year, that could be a big dent in their season. But at the same time, the division isn't even that great.
That's true. But now, same record and a win over them. You know what I mean? So, let's say it does come down to...
Because they are in second right now, because Philly is one of the few undefeated teams in the NFL.
Yeah. So let's say it comes down to a wild card spot, and it's between the Giants and the Redskins. This game could have a huge,
I think it'll tear them up. Because Sterling Shepard's only going to get better but at the same time, Shane Vereen is lost for a few weeks because he got hurt. I think he had a triceps injury. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. That's gonna be a really good game. But you never know what can happen over the course of the season. Obviously, injuries happen so often. With obviously you saw Shane Vereen, but anything can happen during the season. Who's gonna tear an ACL? Who's gonna get a sprain MCL or anything like that? But it's definitely a strange NFL season for sure, I think.
Yeah,
because even looking around at the other games, Arizona, who had Arizona losing to Buffalo like that after Buffalo lost that kind of game? So
last week,
last week to the Jets, and so I guess the point is, I think Odell will over time will get better with a lot of the stuff, but to me it just seems the better he gets, the more his tantrum comes out.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so the Giants have the Vikings next week. We'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about the results about that next week, and we will talk a little bit about the Jets and maybe a little bit about basketball when we get back. You're listening to Martino and Rob in the Morning.